Good afternoon, everyone. Well, we've had some lovely rain so far this morning, and clearly we're in for a lot more. Sorry about the wind. I'm going to investigate getting a little lapel microphone with a windsock on it. It might help make it so you can hear me better, especially when it's windy. But yeah, I thought I'd do an update on the goats and the fencing. They're doing really well in this electric poultry net. Now, I actually prefer working with the electric poultry net. This particular one isn't as high as the Premier 1 fence, and there are others out there that are actually higher, which I think would be much better. But this was the one that was available to me when I was in Beenleigh, so that's the one I got. Next one I will probably end up having to get from Chicken Caravan or something like that, because there aren't a lot of suppliers around here, strangely enough, that I've found anyway, that actually supply electric poultry nets. And previously I did have the goats in the electric goat net. Oh, one of the neighbours is on his trail bike. So previously I had them in the electric goat net, which is a little bit higher, but the squares are a lot bigger, which the little girls kept busting through because unfortunately the net got left off a couple of times, so they learnt, oh, that's not hot. So they learnt to test it and try it and just bust through it and put big holes in it, bigger than the holes that were already in it. Like the normal holes in the electric goat net would be probably about that big, so those two strands wouldn't be in there. Lower ones would be a bit different, but the higher ones were definitely very far apart. But my electric goat net has been completely destroyed. A lot of the posts are okay still, but some of them got broken as they were being taken out of the ground because the ground was so hard because it hadn't rained. Now that it's rained a bit, we were able to get the poultry net back in again. And the tread-in posts. I probably could pour water over the ground and that would make it so I could get the tread-in posts in. But I haven't done that as yet. So at the moment, the electric poultry net is actually keeping the goats in very nicely. So as long as it stays on, the girls should stay in. Should. And as long as they've got food. I mean, a big thing with goats and fencing is fences really are a suggestion, because boar goats can actually jump 6 foot high if they desperately want to. Thankfully Marbella, who I'm not sure if she's a mytonic or she's part boar, I'm not quite sure, but she's definitely a meat breeder goat, not a dairy goat. So that breed of goat can jump 6 foot. I do know that I have had Mary and Laura jump this fence previously, and it was usually because, well, it's Laura and Missy. I'm not sure who I said. I meant Laura and Missy, but I was milking Laura and Missy was out here on her own and she just jumped the fence. So that's when I went over to the goat fence, and the goat fence was an even bigger problem because she just busted through it. So it didn't matter whether it was on or off, she just busted through it. But she's actually learnt to respect the electric fences now. So generally speaking, she won't bust through, and it is about them learning to respect the fence. And if mum's going to be milked, they're more interested in catching mum and don't care about the psychological barrier of an electric net. Because it's a psychological barrier, it's not a physical barrier, which is why I preferred to have the girls in the welded mesh panels. And I think that's where the asset of this particular little area that I've got them set up in, I'm not actually going through the fence to get the girls. Gavin set me up a gate in between the two aviaries, which is working beautifully. So they're learning that that's how you get in and out. And, well, they can't get through there. That is a physical barrier. I got a whole heap of posts here. This is part of the old pool cover at the other old house. Ideally, I'd really like to put some wood chips down here. There's little Hope scratching up against the aviary. So yeah, having that physical barrier as the gate is, I think, making a big difference here. So yeah, at the moment the only thing stopping it from opening is that Besser brick. Oh, and I've got the string up the top, but that's not going to do much. But the girls are certainly learning that this is where you come to come out. And it's always a challenge trying to get Mary out. Because I milked Marbella first, because she's the alpha. She has to be milked first. And then what I did yesterday afternoon, I'm really sorry if the wind's making it difficult for you to hear. I am trying to put my hand over the microphone to try and protect it from the breeze, but it is very windy today. So yesterday afternoon I attached Marbella to that chain on the tree because there's nothing else to attach it to in here, so that I could get Mary out and milk Mary. And I don't need to milk Mary at the moment because she's still got her kids with her, but I want to get her used to being milked. And my goodness, her horns have gotten so big in the last 12 months, which is really interesting. Because I had heard that it was feeding them grain that made their horns and hooves to grow, and I haven't been feeding her grain. She's only been getting really top quality lucerne. So yeah, I'm not sure what the deal with that is. But yeah, apparently it is what it is. I like Marbella's horns. Marbella's horns are nice. The Saanen horns seem to get much bigger. And it's making it difficult to get her into the milk stand a little bit actually. But I'll show you that in another video. But today's was the electric poultry net and how well it's doing at keeping the goats in. The only problem I've got with it is when the ground is too hard because we haven't had any rain. And hopefully now that we're in the rain has started, hopefully the wet season's started, it'll make it easier to move the fence around for the girls. And I'm definitely going to make a point of making sure I always have a physical gate, I think. So even if I have the IBC houses and then have a gate in between, so have IBC house here and IBC house here and have a gate in between, that would work well, I think. But I'll have to think about that and see what options we can come up with. The girls are loving this tree. This tree's not really loving it. But once they've actually pruned it all back, I will come in and I'll snip back a heap of branches and I'll probably put some grafts on it with trees that I want, because the fruit that comes on this is just so small. My neighbour says it's a type of lime, just by the look of the leaves. I don't know if any of you know what it is, but the fruit itself is like ridiculously small. It's like that small and it's orange. So yeah, kind of interesting. So I'm not sure what that one is. I could ask my friends who are the previous owners of the property, but then I don't think they planted it. I think it was planted by the people that owned it before them. This entire area here actually used to be an orchard when they bought the property 20 years ago. So yeah. Anyway, that's the goat fence. And electric fences do work with goats. I've got a video that I did on our previous property where I'd set up paddocks with fencing with 4 strands of electric wire, and it worked beautifully except for with the babies, because the babies go under. So when I've got kids, I need to have them in the poultry net or the goat net. But as I've now experienced, the goat net's not really working all that well for kids. And most of that was the fact that it had been left off a couple of times and they learnt that it wasn't hot. So now it's on and it is hot. It's got about 8 kilovolts going through it at the moment. That will drop when we've had more rain and there's more wet forage around the base of the fence, but that's okay. It's not a huge drama, because when it's raining the goats are going to go hiding in their little shelters, which technically these are bird aviaries but the girls can get in there and it's creating shelter for them, and it was somewhere that we could think of to put them. I'm really struggling here to find places where I can actually have the goats. And part of it is because of a car accident and the whiplash injury that I've sustained. So I can't at the moment put star pickets in. And I'm not in a position to be moving IBCs around and creating all the lovely structures that I used to create. I really like the set of 4 IBCs with the roof over the top. That makes a really nice little shelter for them. But it takes a fair bit of effort to actually set that up, and they can only stay there for a little while. So I really need to set up, get the star picket fences put up so that they've got small areas that I can move them in. We were thinking about making like a mobile corral, similar to what Justin Rose has got on his channel for his sheep, or for the rams I should say, well, the ram and the wether. He calls it the luchador pen. We're thinking about doing something similar to that, to be able to move the girls easily, so they've got the shelter and they've got their food and their minerals and all that sort of thing all in the one spot. But it hasn't happened yet. And the biggest problem we're having here is we've been in a severe drought. And the ground is just, it has no organic matter. Well, not none. It's got very, very little organic matter. Around here's not as bad as the other paddocks because it's been getting a lot of leaf litter from the trees. And this section here has not had the overgrazing from the horses and the cow, which are the previous owners and are going to their new home soon, I think. Anyway, it's not a big drama really. I'm really not that worried because I can't do anything with it at the moment anyway. I've got, between the plantar fasciitis in my foot and the swollen bursitis in my hip from just putting my body under too much strain whilst moving this year, I can't do much. So I've just got to let my body heal and be patient and know that this is a season and this too shall pass. This season will not last forever. And enjoy what I can and plan for when I can actually do more. But at the moment it's really interesting to see how the ground is recovering in the spots that we have had the goats. Really, really interesting. Lots of the paddock areas are coming back a lot quicker and a lot greener. And I'd take you out for a walk, but my foot is actually very sore and I shouldn't be walking on it much at all. So I'm sorry. Can't really do that today. I might actually look at getting the drone out so that I can take some drone shots. That'd be really good. Although I haven't actually used it and it's a very cheap drone, so I don't know how good it's going to be. I have no idea how to use it. Gavin got it for me for Christmas last year and I got it out of the box and put the batteries in it and lifted it up off the ground once and then realised I had no clue what I was doing, so it went back down and with the moving and everything, it's been in its box ever since. So I do want to get it out of its box and I'll be able to start keeping a better eye on the paddocks without having to walk around to them. So yeah. So electric fence and goats, yes, it can work. They do work well. If you've got 4 strands of electric wire, it can work well. They work well with poly braid as well, which is what I do want to set up in the future, but we're still deciding what we're doing here. I want to actually do a permaculture design of the property so that we can decide what we're going to do. At the moment, I'm kind of hoping for a flood this year so that I can actually see where the water goes. I mean, we've seen a bit of where the water goes during the rain, when we get heavy rain events. So a lot of water runs along here. And I have found the contour maps for the area, which took me ages to find. It was so difficult. Had to learn how to use different software and everything. And I actually made the contour maps myself using the data sets from Esri. So yeah, I've got 1 metre contours for the property. Not that there's a lot of slope here. It really is quite a reasonably flat property. I can't actually remember what the gradient is, but it's not much. There's only like 3 meters difference over the entire 10 acres. But this drain that's here is pretty much on contour. So it's really good, and it goes into the dam that's over there. And I've got some videos that Gavin made up last time it rained, because I wasn't supposed to be wandering around taking anything. Really hope this foot and hip heal soon. They actually seem to be getting worse at the moment. They did get better for a while there, and then I got too excited and I did too much and I hurt myself again. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's a season. The girls are having fun eating. That pile of scraps is actually from the pool yard at the old house. It sat in the trailer for months because we just didn't get a chance to get it out after the accident. So that was actually what we were doing when I had the accident. We were at the other house cleaning out the pool yard just after we'd actually sold the place. So we were helping the new owners get the pool yard ready for the pool safety certificate. And I was going to go get a mattock. And we couldn't get the trailer back on the car because the tow bar got bent and the chassis got bent, and it's, just a mess. Anyway, this too shall pass. This is a season that I'm in. We're actually considering downsizing the herd of goats so that I've just got the 2 goats that are in milk. I want to make sure that Mary's in the pattern of being milked before I sell the 2 girls. Don't really want to sell Faith and Hope, but they have learnt to challenge fences, which is never a good thing. And the fences on this property are all set up for horses and cows. They're not set up for goats, which is half of the problem. Which is what the problem we were having with the girls were, because I couldn't put them on a chain because they're still feeding from Mary. I had Mary on a chain and I was hoping they were going to stay with Mary. And they did, mostly, but then they also escaped and got into the driveway, and it's just, I'm glad that we've had some rain so that we could get the tread-in posts back in, so that the 6 girls have got a new paddock. Davey's still out the front on a chain, which he's happily dragging his little house all around the paddock. But this has become quite a long video. My goodness. Anyway, goat fences. So yes, electric nets work well. I prefer the poultry net. My big problem with the goat net is my foot gets stuck in it when I'm trying to spread it out. I find it very irritating. So the holes in the poultry net are a lot smaller and my foot doesn't get stuck in it. So yeah, there's also a larger gap between posts in the goat net, which makes it even harder for me too, because I'm short. I'm only 161 centimetres, I think. So I'm just a bit short for the other one. I mean, I really should go around and push these tread-ins in a bit further, because they're not actually fully in the ground. So yeah, anyway, we got this up, and that's the main thing. The girls have got somewhere they can go and keep dry, because there's supposed to be a lot of rain. There's a low forming off the southeast coast of Queensland. So we're supposed to get a whole heap of rain, which is fantastic. I'm very excited about it. So yes, the girls are doing well, and they're staying in the fence, which is my main issue at the moment, is keeping the girls contained. They like jumping in and out of that hole. I don't know if they like it, but they're doing it well. Mary's got the milk building up nicely again. I haven't actually kept the kids away from her at night. I am considering doing that and doing the proper kid sharing, just to see how much milk I will get from her. But I haven't quite. Let's watch her jumping. Let's see. Yep, she likes to jump in there. So we actually put the hay inside their houses today, just so that their hay would stay dry while it rained. Look how big Missy's gotten. She's nearly as big as Laura now. But she's over 12 months old now. Ideally, I would really like to be putting her and Laura in with Davey, so that they can go into kid. It'd actually be a really good time now, because it means they'd be delivering right when the grass is quite hopefully recovered nicely, which, yeah, it hasn't done yet. But it's okay. It's all good. I mean, it's possible that they actually already are pregnant, because Davey did actually get into the net with them a couple of weeks ago. I'll leave a link in the description, because, oh my goodness, Davey jumped the electric poultry net and the goat net with his chain on him and was happily having fun with all the girls. So I honestly don't know who's pregnant, who's not pregnant, because he wasn't supposed to get in. Was not supposed to get in. I mean, Missy's fine to be pregnant. She's old enough now. And I was wanting to get Laura back into kid anyway. I don't think that Belly's kid. I'm pretty sure it's not. Although the last 2 times she's kidded, she's had twins, at least. So yeah. Goats are good fun. I do have fun with my goats. They do drive me nuts, but I have fun with them. They're a bit naughty sometimes. And mostly the only time the goats are naughty is when they're hungry, they're thirsty, or they're lonely. So that is why they will challenge a fence. And really, any fence to a goat is a suggestion. It's telling them, this is where I want you to stay. And they go, if you feed me, you give me water, and I have company, I will stay here. So they're pretty good. Generally speaking, goats are not grazers, but unfortunately on this property, that's all they've got to work with is grass, which is probably why they're having fun with this tree so much. They're pruning it back nicely. I can actually see in there to get the branches trimmed. So yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of my experience with goat fence. I'll leave cards in the description with links to the different videos that I've done over the time with goats and the fencing. But yeah, anyway, you have a great day. Any comments, questions or suggestions, leave them below. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel so you can keep up with the antics of my little darlings. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bless you.